Words are powerful. The way we use them can build strong relationships, open doors to opportunities, and even shape how others see us. But at the same time, the wrong words can destroy trust, create misunderstandings, or make us look less intelligent than we truly are. In life, intelligent people have learned an important lesson. They're careful about what they say. It's not just about knowing what to say. It's about knowing what not to say. They understand that sometimes silence is better than speaking without thinking. In this video, we'll explore 6 things an intelligent person never says. These are common phrases that many of us might have said without realizing the impact they can have. By learning to avoid them, you'll not only come across as wiser, but also improve your relationships, gain more respect, and become a better communicator. Stick around, because number 6 is a common mistake that even the smartest people can make, and it's something we all need to watch out for. So, let's get started and find out what these 6 phrases are and why they can do more harm than good. Number 1. I already know that. Let's start with a phrase that seems harmless but can seriously damage how people perceive you. I already know that. Imagine this scenario. Someone is explaining something to you, maybe a process at work, a fact, or even just sharing their opinion. You interrupt them with, I already know that. What happens next? The conversation instantly loses its flow, and the person feels dismissed, maybe even a bit disrespected. Why? Because this phrase makes it seem like you value showing off your knowledge more than valuing the other person's input. Intelligent people avoid this phrase because they understand that conversations are not just about exchanging facts. They're about building connections and learning new perspectives. Even if you do know what the person is saying, responding with curiosity or openness can create a more positive interaction. For example, instead of saying, I already know that, you could try, that's interesting. I've heard about it, but I'd love to hear your take. This small shift turns a potentially dismissive moment into an opportunity to bond and maybe even learn something new. Another reason to avoid this phrase is that it can shut down future conversations. If you constantly tell people you already know what they're talking about, they may stop sharing things with you altogether. Over time, this can isolate you from valuable information, insights, or even opportunities. Here's a tip: practice active listening. When someone shares something you're already familiar with, let them finish their point. Then, you can build on it by sharing your own experiences or asking thoughtful questions. This not only keeps the conversation engaging, but also shows respect for the other person's effort to communicate. At its core, avoiding I already know that is about humility. No matter how much you know, there's always more to learn. And sometimes, what matters most isn't the information itself, but how you engage with the person sharing it. So, the next time you're tempted to say, I already know that, pause. Think about how you can respond in a way that values the other person's perspective and keeps the conversation open. After all, being intelligent isn't just about what you know. It's about how you make others feel. Number 2. That's not my problem. When we hear someone say, that's not my problem, it can feel like they're closing themselves off from the situation entirely. In fact, this phrase is one of the most dismissive things you can say, not just to others, but to yourself as well. It signals that you're unwilling to take any responsibility for what's happening around you, even when your input could make a difference. But here's the thing, intelligent people know that life isn't always black and white. Sometimes, problems arise that might not directly affect us, but that doesn't mean we should turn our backs on them. Think about it. When you say, that's not my problem, you're choosing not to engage or help, even though you might be in a position to offer a solution or at least some support. Let's break it down a little further. Imagine you're at work, and your colleague is struggling with a project. They're stressed, overwhelmed, and could use some advice or help. You hear them say, I just can't figure this out. If your immediate response is, that's not my problem, you're not only being unhelpful, but you're also showing a lack of empathy. An intelligent person, on the other hand, would likely take a step back and think, how can I help this person? Or even, what can I do to ease the situation? Even if it's just a little, you might be thinking, but I've got enough on my plate. Why should I get involved in someone else's mess? That's a fair point, and it's important to set boundaries, but being willing to help or offer advice when it's needed shows that you care. It also opens doors to building stronger relationships with those around you, whether it's colleagues, friends, or even family members. And as a result, it makes you someone people can rely on, someone they trust not just with their success, but also with their struggles. An intelligent person doesn't shy away from responsibility, even when it's uncomfortable. They know that by helping others, they don't lose anything, they actually gain. They gain respect, trust, and a sense of fulfillment that comes from knowing they've contributed to solving a problem, even if it's not their own. Plus, helping others can often lead to opportunities for growth that you might never have expected. Let's take a real-world example. Think about famous leaders or even entrepreneurs. People like Steve Jobs, Oprah Winfrey, or Barack Obama. These are people who didn't just focus on their own issues but often took time to address the challenges others were facing. They understood that leadership involves being part of the solution, not just staying in your own lane and ignoring everything else. Of course, there's a balance to be struck. You don't need to get involved in every problem that crosses your path. There are situations where it's okay to step back and let others handle things. But when you're able to help without sacrificing your own well-being, it shows strength and emotional intelligence. Intelligent people know when to speak up, when to listen, and when to offer a helping hand. So, next time you catch yourself thinking, "That's not my problem," ask yourself, could I help here? Could my advice, my experience, or even my listening ear make a difference? It might be something small, but it could mean the world to someone else. And who knows? By solving someone else's problem, you might just find the solution to your own. In the end, intelligence isn't just about knowing facts or being good at something. It's about understanding the bigger picture. It's about recognizing that, even if it's not your problem, helping others can make you part of the solution. And in the process, you become someone who makes a real impact in the world. Number 3, I can't. When you say, I can't, you're putting a wall between yourself and your potential. It's one of the most limiting phrases you can use. Think about it for a moment. Whenever you tell yourself, I can't, you're not just giving up on a task, you're giving up on growth. You're telling your brain that you don't have the ability, the resources, or the will to push forward. Now, we all face challenges. Life isn't always easy, and sometimes tasks seem impossible. But here's the key. Intelligent people don't see problems as dead ends. They see them as opportunities to learn, adapt, and find solutions. Instead of saying, I can't, they ask themselves, how can I do this differently? Or what can I learn from this? Let me give you a real-life example. Think about the story of Thomas Edison, the man who invented the light bulb. Edison faced countless failures during his experiments. In fact, he was said to have failed over 1,000 times before finally finding the right filament for the light bulb. But you know what he didn't say? I can't. Instead, he said, I have not failed. I've just found 1,000 ways that won't work. This mindset is powerful. It changes your approach to problems. When you stop saying, I can't, you open up a space for creativity and problem solving. You stop thinking of your limitations and start thinking about possibilities. It doesn't matter if you're struggling with a work project, a personal goal, or even learning something new. The moment you tell yourself, I can't, you stop trying. But if you push that thought aside and ask, how can I? Or what's the next step? You'll be amazed at the progress you can make. Think about it in small, everyday moments. Let's say you're learning to play an instrument, or maybe you're trying to master a new skill. At first, you might feel frustrated. You might even think, this is too hard. You can't do this. But remember, every expert was once a beginner. They didn't stop trying just because it was difficult. They kept going, kept asking themselves what they could do next to improve. This is where intelligent people stand out. They don't let the word can't define them. Instead, they redefine the challenge in front of them. And the beautiful thing is, this doesn't just apply to big, life-changing moments. It works for the small things too. It's about taking responsibility for your actions and recognizing that you always have a choice, whether you choose to try or you choose to quit. So, the next time you find yourself about to say, I can't, stop and reframe it. Ask yourself, what's one thing I can do to move forward? It might be as simple as breaking down a task into smaller, manageable steps. Or it could be finding a new way to approach the problem. Remember, An intelligent person doesn't see "I can't" as a final answer. Instead, they see it as a chance to discover a new way, a better path, or a lesson in persistence. By avoiding the phrase "I can't," you're opening yourself up to endless possibilities. And that, my friend, is where real growth happens. Number 4. No offense, but. Have you ever heard someone say, "No offense, but," and immediately felt like they were about to say something that would upset you? Well, that's because more often than not, the phrase "no offense, but" is used right before someone says something offensive. It's like a warning that what's coming next isn't going to feel great. An intelligent person knows that when they have something critical to say, it's much better to communicate it in a respectful, clear, and thoughtful way. They understand that words can hurt, and they don't need to hide behind a disclaimer like, "No offense, but," to soften the blow. Instead, they focus on giving constructive feedback without the passive-aggressive twist. For example, let's say you're in a conversation, and someone says, "No offense, but you could have done better in that presentation." How do you feel? Probably a bit defensive, right? You may start thinking, why did they say no offense first? What are they about to say? It immediately puts you on the defensive and shifts your focus to the hurtful part of the statement instead of any useful feedback. It's just not the most productive way to handle things. An intelligent person, on the other hand, would say something like, "I think there are some areas where your presentation could be stronger. Maybe you could try adding more data to support your points or simplify your slides." This way, it's not about criticizing you as a person. It's about helping you grow and improve. And you're more likely to accept the feedback when it's presented this way. What makes this even more important is that when you lead with "no offense, but," you may also come across as insincere. Can feel like you're preparing to hurt someone's feelings, but you want to give yourself an out, just in case they take it the wrong way. A truly intelligent person avoids this because they understand that honesty doesn't need to come with an apology or a cushion. They know how to speak their truth without creating unnecessary conflict. If you're used to saying "no offense, but," take a moment to consider why you use it. Is it because you're afraid to speak your mind? Are you worried about hurting someone's feelings? Or are you just trying to soften the impact of what you're about to say? Instead, try practicing delivering your thoughts in a straightforward, kind, and constructive manner. This way, people will respect you for your honesty and appreciate the way you communicate. Remember, words are powerful. What you say matters, but how you say it can make all the difference in the world. So, next time you feel the urge to say "no offense, but," pause for a moment. Think about the message you want to send. Is there a better, kinder way to share your thoughts without a preemptive disclaimer? An intelligent person doesn't need to hide behind "no offense, but," because they know their words will speak for themselves. Number 5. It's impossible. Let's talk about the phrase, "it's impossible." We've all heard it before, and maybe we've said it ourselves at one point. It's a phrase that can completely shut down possibilities. When someone says, "it's impossible," what they're really doing is closing the door to any solution or alternative approach. But here's the thing. An intelligent person knows better than to say it. Why? Because if you really think about it, nothing is truly impossible. Sure, some things might be difficult, challenging, or require more time and effort than we initially think. But labeling something as impossible is a mindset that limits you from exploring new solutions. People who say "it's impossible" have already given up without trying to find a way around the obstacle. Instead of saying "it's impossible," intelligent people ask themselves, "How can we make this work?" They reframe challenges into opportunities to innovate, to grow, and to think outside the box. For example, if a team faces a difficult project or a person faces a personal challenge, the intelligent approach would be to break it down into smaller, manageable steps. They don't give up, they find alternatives. They might ask themselves, "What resources do I need? Who can I talk to for help? Is there a different way to approach this problem?" Take the example of the Wright brothers. There was a time when flying was considered impossible. People laughed at the idea of human flight. But they didn't say, "It's impossible." Instead, they looked at it from a different angle. They experimented, they failed, they learned, and they kept moving forward. And guess what? They made human flight a reality. In today's world, innovation and progress are made by those who refuse to accept impossible as an answer. Think about how far we've come in just a few decades: smartphones, space travel, AI, and medical advancements. At one point, all of these things were considered impossible. Yet, through perseverance and creative thinking, they became a reality. When you say it's impossible, you close your mind to possibilities. But when you say, let's figure out how to make this happen, you open yourself up to growth, new ideas, and success. So, an intelligent person avoids saying it's impossible because they understand that the only true limits we have are the ones we place on ourselves. They approach challenges with a mindset of, let's find a way, and that's what makes all the difference. Number 6. It's not fair. One of the most common phrases we hear people say when they're frustrated or upset is, it's not fair. We've all been there. Maybe you didn't get that promotion at work, or someone else took credit for your idea, or life just doesn't seem to be going your way. It feels natural to say, it's not fair, when something seems unjust, and it's easy to fall into that trap. But here's the thing. Intelligent people know that life is rarely fair. When things don't go the way we expect, our natural reaction might be to look around and think, why me? Why is this happening? Why is this unfair? And while that feeling is completely normal, intelligent people recognize that focusing on fairness is a waste of energy. They don't spend time complaining about what's unfair, because they understand that it doesn't change the outcome. Let's be real, life isn't fair. Whether it's the workplace, relationships, or even just daily life, there will always be situations where things don't go as planned. If we spend all our time complaining about how unfair things are, we get stuck in a cycle of negativity. Intelligent people don't waste time or energy on things they can't control, like the fairness of a situation. Instead, they focus on what they can do about it. Think about it. When something happens that feels unfair, what's the most productive thing you can do? Complaining about it or taking action? The intelligent choice is always to ask, what can I learn from this? Or, what can I do to make this better? Take an example from someone who's been successful in overcoming setbacks. Maybe you've heard of people who didn't get the job they wanted or had their plans completely derailed. Instead of dwelling on the fact that life didn't play fair, they ask themselves, how can I improve? What can I change? They take responsibility for their actions, adapt, and move forward, rather than staying stuck in the unfairness of it all. When you stop saying, it's not fair, and start focusing on what you can control, you gain more power over your own life. You stop allowing the unfairness of life to dictate your mood and mindset. Instead, you decide what's important and make the best of every situation. Intelligent people know that fairness is an illusion. They don't expect everything to be fair, and that mindset frees them to create solutions instead of getting caught in complaints. Instead of saying, it's not fair, they might say, it's not what I expected, but what's the next step I can take? By stopping yourself from using the phrase, it's not fair, you shift your mindset from one of victimhood to one of empowerment. You realize that you're not helpless in the face of unfairness. You have the ability to respond, adapt, and improve. So next time you feel the urge to say, it's not fair, remember this. It's not about fairness. It's about how you choose to respond. Why avoiding these phrases sets you apart. The way we speak plays a big role in how people see us. When you avoid saying these 6 phrases, you immediately set yourself apart from others. Why? Because it shows you're thoughtful, emotionally intelligent, and mindful of your words. Think about it. When you say things like, I already know that, or that's impossible, it gives the impression that you're either closed off to new ideas or unwilling to try. On the other hand, avoiding these phrases shows you're open-minded, approachable, and focused on solutions. People are naturally drawn to those who think before they speak. By being careful with your words, you'll not only earn more respect but also build better relationships, whether it's in your personal life or at work. Remember, intelligence isn't just about knowledge. It's about how you apply that knowledge in real-life situations. And choosing not to say certain things is a sign of wisdom. So, take note of these 6 phrases and make a conscious effort to avoid them. Over time, you'll notice how much more positive your interactions become. Thank you for watching this video. If you found these tips helpful, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. It really helps us reach more people who are on their journey to becoming better every day. We'd love to hear from you. Which of these phrases do you think you'll start avoiding first? Or is there something else people say that you think intelligent individuals should stay away from? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Your insights might just help someone else. If you haven't already, make sure to hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell. That way, you'll never miss our weekly videos packed with practical advice and lessons to help you grow smarter and more confident in life. And remember, every word you choose can shape your world. Use them wisely. See you in the next video.